Now I will just hand over the time to our chairperson, Professor Pankaj Arora, to formally start the session.
On dais with me, Ms. Abhilasha Jha Misra, Member Secretary, NCTE, Professor Indu, esteemed member of Post Graduation Curriculum Development Committee, NCTE, and member of Core Committee, ITEP program, Professor Jyotsna Tiwari, convener for ITEP Arts Education, Dr. Dibyajyoti Mahanta, who is chairperson of Eastern Region Committee, NCTE, Professor Brinda, who is head of Department of Education, NEHU. A very good afternoon to you all, and once again, it is indeed a privilege to set the context for the first plenary session focused on integrated teacher education program and its pivotal role in realizing the vision of NEHU 2020. This dedicated session will mark the beginning of our substantive discussions on transforming teacher education from policy to practice. As its core, the policy recognizes that the quality of education can never exceed the quality of teachers. It acknowledges that meaningful educational reforms must begin with reimagining how we are prepared and how we are preparing teachers for our future generations. The Education Policy 2020 has introduced a revolutionary new school structure, which I mentioned in the morning also, that is 5 plus 3 plus B plus 4 curricular structure, replacing the present curricular structure of 10 plus 2. This structure recognizes distinct developmental stages of learning. The foundational stage of learning, which is ranging from the age 3 years to 8 years, where age 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 5 years of foundation stage up to class 2. From Paravanila stage 1 to class 2. The preparatory stage catering learners from ages 8 years to 11 years. Then middle stage of school, which is catering to the age 11 years to 14 years, which is class 6, 7 and 8. And secondary stage catering to the learners between the age of 14 years to 18 years. And school stage of class 9, 10, 11 and 12. Each stage demands specialized pedagogical approaches, developmental understanding, and curriculum expertise from teachers. This necessitates a fundamental shift in how we prepare teachers, moving away from fragmented single discipline approach towards holistic, integrated, multidisciplinary teacher education model. The solution came from ITEP, where recently NCTE came out with draft regulations 2025, which is going to mark a significant milestone in aligning teacher education with the new school structure. These draft regulations are not just policy documents. These represent the collective wisdom of educators, policy makers, and institutions. Now this is open in the public domain for larger consultation with all the stakeholders, whether they are students, parents, community, policy makers, curriculum developers. These draft regulations are not just policy documents, but also getting its ground reality through such consultative conclaves which have begun today. Let me take you behind the scene of this journey. This framework is not built on assumptions. It is built on rigorous analysis and deep engagement. We constituted 11 specialized committees to look into different teacher education programs. As mentioned earlier, now this ITEP is having 5 specializations. ITEP Core, which was launched in the year 2023, where Professor Indu was key person in designing its curriculum framework as well as syllabi in detail. Then policy has proposed to have separate program for art education. Professor Jyotsna Tiwari, under her dynamic leadership, we have came out with the curriculum framework, syllabi, norms and standards for ITEP program, which is for 4 years, in line with ITEP core, and this 4-year program is dedicated to art education. Similarly, we have ITEP for Sanskrit education. I want to make it clear that this Sanskrit education is just a beginning in the line to come out with more programs in linguistic education, language education. Policy has proposed that languages should be given emphasis, not only as a collective subject, but also as a medium of instruction. So, NCTE is committed to come out with more programs in different languages or one common framework for language-based ITEP programs which can be adapted by different states and universities to develop programs in their regional languages. Similarly, ITEP Yoga is a new concept, a new program of 4 years which has come out in the light of NEP 2020, and ITEP Physical Education, which our Honorable Governor was mentioning in the morning, that physical education is very important aspect of personality development. Physical education is not about physical well-being. Clubbing it together with yoga, it's physical well-being and mental well-being. So holistic well-being of individual is being promoted through these ITEP programs. We have also come out with specialized regulations for B.Ed 1 year, which will see light of the day in the year 2026. B.Ed 2 year has been reviewed and upgraded in the light of NEP 2020. We have reviewed our M.Ed program and came out with 2 specialized programs of M.Ed. One is for full-time at par with UGC guidelines and National Credit Framework 6.5, which has proposed to have 1 year master degree program. So M.Ed we are proposing in line with National Credit Framework and UGC, a program which is for 1 year of duration, which is full time, and another program for working professionals in the field of education, being it school teachers, practitioners, innovation experts, or the people who are working on ground after their first degree in education and want to pursue master degree along with their professional understanding. They will be offered M.Ed part-time, which will be for 2 years. And the difference between 2 programs is M.Ed full-time is for 1 year, where we are proposing 40 hours a week as timetable, and in part-time, the same program has been proposed in 2 academic years, which is having 20 hours per week, where people can come after their office hours, after their school, and join this program. Professor Indu is key person in designing this curriculum framework and detailed syllabi. Today we are focusing in this session about ITEP, 5 ITEP, which I have already mentioned. Now, this has been an intensive collaborative effort where I mentioned 100 formal meetings took place and NCT rules ranging from 1997 to 2014 and 2014 to 2024 with 9 amendments to its regulations have been clubbed together, reviewed together, and a new regulation, NCTE Regulation 2025, has been proposed. The phased approach in lasting impact and rolling out NEP in context of teacher education is not an easy task. So we have decided to roll out education policy into teacher education in 2 phases. In first phase, we already have come out with Regulations 25, where we have proposed 9 teacher education programs to be reviewed, revised, upgraded, and introduced in the light of NEP 2020. And in phase 2, Remaining programs will be taken care, which will be brought to you for consultation towards the end of 2025. Now, more specializations are coming, and we want to have a phased approach to international education as well. ITEP in northern context has already been discussed, and ITEP as a career path, because in 22 institutions of Northeast, ITEP is being run, and this is a dual major degree with 2 major specializations for each individual. Now, coming to the end of this opening remarks, I think these regulations are brought to the public consideration, public consumption, public feedback for the very first time by NCTE. We must make benefit of this opportunity. We must use this opportunity to be partners in finalizing regulations 2025. And with your active participation and constructive suggestions, I assure you each of your suggestions will be reviewed by NCTE very carefully, and we look forward to your constructive suggestions to improve quality education for the country. NCTE is a face. Behind this face is strength of all the teacher educators across the country. So the house will be open for expert panelists. Professor Ms. Abhilasha Ji will be presenting an overview of NCTE Regulations 2025, followed by Professor Jyotsna Tiwari, who will be presenting curriculum structure, curriculum framework for ITEP Arts Education. Then Professor Indu will be presenting, helping us understand how ITEP physical education and yoga education are coming to the ground, and Professor Mahanta will help us with concluding the session, and he will conduct the open session with your suggestions, because he is your representative to NCTE as chairman of Northern Region. So he will invite suggestions, feedback, and conduct the open session towards the last of that. So first I will invite Ms. Abhilasha to make a present an overview of Regulations 2025. Thank you.
अगर हम डल नहीं होना चाहते तो 2 बातें होनी चाहिए, मेंटली अलर्ट रहना चाहिए और एक दूसरे की हिम्मत और हौसला बढ़ाने के लिए ताली बजाते रहना चाहिए.
To the experts and dignitaries on the stage and the various stakeholders present as audience. Before we begin this plenary session 1, I would give a brief structure of the National Conclave as it will flow today and tomorrow. In the plenary session 1, we will have a discussion on the integrated teacher education programs. Plenary session 2 will be on NBST and NMM for the in-service teachers. Plenary session 3 will see discussions and deliberations on programs other than the integrated teacher education program. And lastly will be the plenary session 4, where we will reflect on the experiences of the HEIs that are already running ITEP and the challenges that they face, so that we improve and take their suggestions further in improving the programs. Just a little background before we go into the details of the ITEP. My focus will be on the regulatory aspect of these programs, and before that, as Sir has already introduced, that Regulations 2025, we brought them out with 3 things in mind. One was to align them with the National Education Policy 2020, to incorporate the amendments that have taken place over the years from 2014, when our regulations came into being in 2014, and also to incorporate the experiences and the challenges that we faced over these years to improve the regulations for the various stakeholders. So, in the plenary session 1, we begin with a discussion on ITEP. The first program is the Integrated Teacher Education Program that you all know has been running since 2023. We have made final changes which, based on our experience of the running of this program in 64 institutions. Second is the ITEP on arts education, ITEP on physical education, on Sanskrit education and yoga education. These are the 4 new programs that are being introduced in line with the National Education Policy 2020. Can we move on to the next slide, please? The Integrated Teacher Education Program is a 4-year program which will be undertaken by students who pass their grade 12. The admission through the National Common Entrance Test conducted by the NTA will be the mode of examination, and I think all of you must be aware that the National Common Entrance Test for this academic year is already announced, which is going to be held by NTA on 29th of April this year. The minimum degree qualification to become a teacher by 2030 will be the Integrated Teacher Education Program, and it will be based on the new curricular and pedagogical structure of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So it's basically being aligned with the curricular structure of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. It will give these students an integrated dual major bachelor degree in their discipline as well as education. So it will be either a BA B.Ed or a BSc B.Ed or a BCom B.Ed. So it gives opportunities to the students to get degrees in 2 disciplines, and it opens opportunities for them for the future to either pursue their post-graduation in education or in the discipline which they have taken during their ITEP. It is it's a credit-based program with the UGC and 4-year undergraduate program aligned with NEP 2020, wherein as I said, the student will have the flexibility to choose the interdisciplinary minor. It will be executed or implemented or undertaken in a multidisciplinary environment. Can we move on to the next slide, please? As I already said, the salient features are a dual major bachelor's degree in education and the chosen discipline, with vertical mobility in both education and the chosen discipline, with multiple entry and exit options based on the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, state-specific specialization, and secularized admission test for admission through the NCERT. This is the curricular structure with credits specified, a total credit of 160, 64 for the interdisciplinary or the disciplinary courses, and the balance for the education component. This is the ITEP Arts Education, which will give an integrated dual major bachelor's degree in education and visual oblique performing arts. It will again be a state-specific specialization with vertical mobility in the master's degree in education and visual oblique performing arts. The nomenclature of the degree will be a BA B.Ed in arts education. It is a 4-year program offered after 12 standard and admission through NCERT and a skill-based test. NCERT admission will have 85% component and the skill-based test will have a 15% component, which will be conducted by the concerned higher education institution. It will be the minimum degree qualification to become an arts teacher in times to come, and it has again a credit-based structure in line with UGC and FIUP. The curriculum components and credits are the same as ITEP. I'm basically focusing on the regulatory aspect, and the academic aspects of the curricular framework and the granular details of it will be taken by the experts of each of the programs. In ITEP, physical education, again, is a 4-year integrated course after senior secondary. Minimal degree qualification to become physical education teacher in the future. Follows a new curricular structure of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 as per NEP 2020 and has a credit-based structure aligned with UGC. Nomenclature of the degree will be a BPS, BPET. Admission procedure again through NTA, NCERT, and physical fitness test by the HEIs. It will give a dual major degree in education and physical education. The disciplinary will be the physical education and sports psychology, exercise physiology, and sports biomechanics, etc. The curricular components and credits are the same as ITEP. Then is the ITEP Yoga. Sanskrit, sorry. Integrated dual major in education and Sanskrit. A full-time program of 4-year duration after class 12 with a credit-based structure. So, as a proceeding, you would have seen that the structure has been organized on the same lines in alignment with the national education policy. The curriculum under disciplinary and interdisciplinary courses will include Sahitya, Vyakaran, Darshanam and Brahmaraj. Vertical mobility will be a master's degree in both education and Sanskrit, and curricular components and credits are same as that in ITEP. The last one is the integrated teacher education program on yoga education, which will be an integrated dual major program on education and yoga, multidisciplinary again aligned with NEP 2020, and a credit-based structure. Nomenclature of the degree will be BA Yoga Education and BSc BA Yoga Education. The admission procedure will be again the same, conducted by NTA, and vertical mobility will be a master's degree both in education and yoga. Curriculum components and credits are the same as in ITEP. So, as a person from a non-teacher education background, my perspective to the integrated teacher education program is that I hope it's going to be a popular program amongst the students because it offers them opportunity to major both in the content as well as pedagogy, and I think it's going to be loved up by the youngsters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Member Secretary. She has tried to present a holistic picture of ITEP Go along with 4 specializations. We have now our experts will give dignity to each specialization. Since this ITEP, this session is about regulations as well as academic curriculum, framework, concerns, etc. So, ITEP regulations is very much part of first 5 appendix under NCTE regulations 2025. If you look at the regulations document which is in public domain now, appendix 1 is for ITEP Core and appendix 2, 3, 4, 5 are respectively for 4 specializations. Because those are already in public domain and those are basically for the administrators of educational institutions to apply for ITEP, for which will be opening portal in the year 2025 itself, and all these 5 ITEP will be launched in the institutions from the academic year 2026-27. Regulations के ऊपर हमने बहुत डिटेल नहीं दिया है, with the understanding it is more technical, and whether if you go through or you might have gone through it, and please come out your suggestions on regulation as well as of the curricular component. So now, in this series of detailed discussions, I would first request Professor Jyotsna Tiwari to help us understand ITEP arts education.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to very much CP sir and madam for giving a very nice presentation which gives an overview about SIU on what it is about. So there are a few points which I would like to highlight from the point of view of having these curriculum framework. What was the necessity for having it a separate discipline-oriented course for teacher education? First, because the NEHU 2020 talks about specialization of different teacher education courses. So that was where the thought, and even before that, the ITEP was in the making. We had, in the initial days, we had discussed it and we thought that there has to be specialized courses, the art education, physical education and the subjects as well, rather than having just in a few subjects. Also, NEP talks about art education, physical education, vocational education as a compulsory component, a curricular area, and talks about the equality of all the subjects. Though it's a tough challenge before all of us educationists to say that, okay, art education, health and physical education is at par with mathematics, science and other things, but everybody says that it's a very essential part of the curriculum. Another thing is that we need specialized teachers. Why? Because not only that we are talking up, we want to have professional teachers, because most of our institutions, higher education, offering visual art or performing art courses, they nurture the students as artists. So the education part is, the pedagogy part is sometimes we find them missing. Over the years they learn. But another thing that they don't get the upper mobility is blocked because they don't have a degree of education. So they cannot get into the administrative positions or other. So that is also one of the things over the period we found that it's really, they have the qualifications, but since they don't have the educational degree as well, or the papers they have done. So that was one thing. We do follow in our curriculum framework for art education exactly what ITEP is, the total credits, the structure of the framework, it's almost the same. I mean, we have given suggestions in the first component, which is the student induction program, that it should be conducted in a workshop mode, and we have given some suggestions, because like it's very suggestive. The universities or institutions can have their own this thing. Then even in the second component of foundations of education, we have done the same credit framework is the same, except that in the one directive from the offered courses as per the choice of student teachers to be conducted. There we have given a basket of different performing and visual art form components, which the students can take as a 4 credit in the semester, 8 semester they can take this. So that is where we have added a few things, and also then we have in the third this component which is there is the disciplinary, interdisciplinary courses, where they can have one specialization out of the 4, one the visual art, and within performing arts they can have either music, dance or theatre, one of the 3. And there will be lot of overlap, so that it's not that once they are in the school system as teachers, they will have sufficient exposure of different art forms, not only one art form. So that also has been taken care of. So we have talked about the interdisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity between different subjects as well. So this 64 credit in this thing component is the same as ITEP or any other this thing. They have already prepared a detailed syllabus, a suggestive kind of a syllabus as well. In the stage-specific content pedagogy, we have developed it for all the 4 stages as talked about. And in the ability enhancement and value-added courses, we have done some tweaking. So basically the structure is the same, semester-wise distribution is same, but we have added components like art appreciation. So because the art teacher has to understand that even the policy of 2020 has a very exclusive chapter 22, it says promotion of Indian languages, art and culture. So that appreciation has to come, which will have local as well as the Indianness and the rootedness in arts education as well. Then another this thing, it was education, I think in a core idea, it's education and society or something. So we have talked about art educator and society so that they have an outreach in the their immediate society. They go and find out how the artisans are working and things like that and do some assignments. Even your ICT component we have, because in art education we have many softwares, open softwares as well, which the teachers will be using. Now AI will also be a part of the ICT curriculum, how to use it in a justified kind of a manner. So that way, that is where we have talked about ICT in arts education. And then in the school experience, of course, that will be for the students to go into the school and what they will be doing. So we have given sort of an outline of how they will be doing different sub-components. Again, it's for 20 credits. And even in community engagement and service, we have given certain suggestions that how they can work with the artisans or the craftsmen, etc. Because in the British stage, NEP also talks about the bagless days and all those experiential learning component. So that also involved with the NSS and other activities they can do. So these are some of the things which I wanted to add to this. Otherwise, the whole structure and things are at par with the ITEP ITEP goal. So if, I think this is sufficient.
In the morning, the group that sang the welcome song, are people here? They aren't here. So could you convey to them that the song was just incredibly sung, so beautiful, so beautiful. Please stay. So I had two reasons to pick that. One reason was to just say it was beautiful, and we all know the incredible musical talent that exists in this one. I'm sure that many of you can do the same. So that was one reason why I wanted to mention. The other reason is the connection to the programs we're talking about. Who loves football more, Meghalaya or Mizoram? Meghalaya. And archery, who does better? Meghalaya. Manipur. Who knows? Except Manipur. So we'll discuss that later. See, these are areas, they are areas of love. Music, art, sports, these are areas of love. They touch our hearts, they give us joy, but there are also areas that demand a lot out of us in terms of disciplinary understanding, in terms of rigor, and in terms of practice. Please remember, these are areas which are what are called do areas. Gyani Papa areas, they are not. You have to do. And that's how you show how good you are, right? And learning these things, being experts at these things, making this part of your life, improves you as a human being. This is not new. Everyone knows this. Everyone has known this in this country for about 10,000 years. Nothing is new. But what we managed to do is we managed in our school curriculum to push this out and make all the space for language, mathematics, science, social science, which are important. But so is this. And unless we pay complete attention and very focused attention to these areas, nothing will change. So having rigorous, equal standard teacher education programs for these areas will actually push these things in the school curriculum. That's the thing. NEP is extremely clear. I don't have to repeat myself. Everybody here has said it. All of you understand it. I hope. Since you're all teacher education students, I hope you're engaged with the document. That holistic education, everything. We're talking about knowledge. We're talking about skills. We're talking about capacities. We're talking about values. We're talking about dispositions. All five, right? And all five are not going to come from 4 curricular areas. They're going to come from everything. And when NEP 2020 lays that emphasis, the teacher education programs must follow a similar rigor. So if a maths teacher needs 4 years of rigorous theory, rigorous practice, connections between the two, and a lot of focus on gender ability, so does an art teacher, so does a physical education teacher, and so does a yoga teacher. The idea is that these areas are equal in school and these areas are equal in teacher education. Hence the 4 full years. Yeah? Okay? Background okay? Yes? Longer yes would be good. So the structure is similar to what Jyotsna ji has spoken about. The core structure of the ITEP, whether you want to be a mathematics teacher, a language teacher, an art teacher, or a physics teacher, is the same. There are 4 basic principles. One is rigorous theory. A rigorous theory in ideas in education, a rigorous theory in terms of the discipline that you are studying, so you learn it and learn it solidly. Second is a lot of practice, a lot of it. And practice integrated into the frame of theory, not as 2 separate things. Right? So second is that. The third is very strong connections across the curriculum. So when you go for your teaching practice, you're teaching children physical education in school, you're connecting it back to the theory of physical education you have studied and to the theory and ideas in education that you have studied. So it makes a holistic program together. Similarly, in yoga, you do exactly the same, right? Your disciplinary, interdisciplinary areas, again that Jyotsna ji said, are in both physical education and yoga. There's a lot of science in both, There's biomechanics, there's working with the body, there's anatomy, there's a lot of that besides, games and their rules and things of that nature. That is one thing, but a lot around the human body, a lot around developing bodies. You're talking about young children. So a lot around that. And with yoga, there's a large component of the mind, of all the ideas in yoga that I'm not an expert on. I just read stuff and try and understand. So that's the theory around it. The practice is also very, very strong in both these programs, right? One thing that you can consider, because the ITEP gives you that flexibility, is that you do your main disciplinary major for 64 credits, or you can do a disciplinary major and a disciplinary minor, 48 plus 16, right? And for both yoga and physical education, possibility of say doing biology is also there. Psychology is also there. They make very good combinations both for your study and for your career later, and for your masters, right? So if you take your majors and your minors in an intelligent manner, you can actually take full advantage of this kind of integrated curriculum. So the ITEP offers more. The ITEP offers a range. And like Jyotsna ji said, in the electives, you could choose an elective outside, you could choose an elective within, say, physical education and yoga as well. So it's good to take full advantage of what the curriculum intends to do and what the curriculum framework allows you to do. Very often, in the framework has these options, we don't understand and exercise them. It's important, as both as institutions and as individuals, to understand the curriculum fully, look at all the options, and then choose. So this is about yoga and physical health. Across my time? No. I just spent 5 minutes on, not so much on Sanskrit education, because it stands out. I just thought I'd spend a little time on the importance of language, both in the NEP and in the ITEP, right? See, in the NEP, there is enormous emphasis on language, enormous emphasis. And for reasons that we all know, right? Research across the world in the last 20-25 years has finished establishing that young children can very easily learn more than one language. Almost every Indian is multilingual naturally. There are very few Indians who know only one language. Most of them know more than one, right? This group itself, there must be some 100 languages in this group, right? So, young children learn more than one language naturally, very easily. That's one, research is clear. Second, multilingualism, knowing more than one language, is very helpful cognitively. It just helps your cognitive development. Again, established, no need to re-establish it, right? And third, India's diversity of languages is our educational asset. You get what I'm saying? The more languages there are in the classroom, the more useful it is to you as a teacher. Normally, we like to see it as a liability, as something that comes in the way of teaching. Actually, it's the opposite. Using one language to teach another, we do it all the time. Using any language, especially with young children, helps them learn and develop better, right? So language, the theory, the research is clear. Part 2. If you want to become a teacher, you must be fluent in the language that you are going to teach in. This is a critical skill for anybody who's a teacher, either in school or in college or somewhere else. If you are not fluent in the language that you are going to teach in, you will never be able to communicate ideas. So if you notice in the ITEP, there is gender ability enhancement courses. There are 2 language courses which are compulsory. Why is that? It's only because of this reason, that as a teacher, you must learn language well, whichever language. And second, that knowing language helps you access knowledge and understanding in other areas, right? So this is the fundamental base of this push on language. Sanskrit is the first language area that the ITEP is beginning with. Like Pankaj said earlier, there will be more such 4-year programs on other languages as the base. This is again mentioned at the NEP, not a new idea. I'm just reiterating it. In case, just to understand the frame in which this entire thing has been designed. And the frame is critical. Language education is critical. We must learn language well. We must ensure that our children learn language well for reasons that I spoke of. Cognitive development, multilingualism as an asset, part of our culture and our diversity, and it helps children learn other languages well. So having a teacher education program focused on language learning actually is critical to build this strength. And that is why the Sanskrit, which is just a beginning. The design is similar, and they're absolutely similar to all the others. The only different piece will be the disciplinary area, which is Sanskrit itself, and the kind of grammar, etc., etc. Again, does not prevent you from doing a major and a minor, and in a subject that you are interested in. So your major could be Sanskrit, the minor could be something else. And then you use that entire set of ideas to strengthen your own ability as a teacher. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Person from non-teacher education background, on the significance of language, ma'am, as a person belonging to an all India service, we get posted across the country. So the last posting that I had before coming to NCTE was in West Bengal, Kolkata. So my daughter was in class 9, and it was a major change for her. We shifted from Jaipur, Sunur, Paschim se hum Sunur Purab aa gaye, Bengal mein. And she was holding back because it was a change her school had changed, her friends had changed, her teachers had changed, the methodology was different. It was a CBSE school, but they were so focused on academics that they were also teaching from ICSE books. It was extremely difficult, but I was following that. She said, Papa's demo. So I realized that, see, there are two ways to reach out people's hearts. One is either through accepting their food or their language. See, food, though, is the easiest way to, we say that the way to a person's heart is to the stomach. Food can still be an invitation because we were vegetarians. And nothing to do with the sharing. I'm just telling you that food itself, just something, a very natural way of connecting with people also can be a limitation. But language surpasses even that limitation. I told her, I said, Bengali is a very sweet and a very simple language. I said, pick it up. And she has this natural, as man said again, I'm adding to what she said, that children pick up language very easily. And she has this knack of picking up languages. I told her, but she was still about the fact. She said, no, we'll go back. She said, Papa will not get transferred, but you take her transfer back to jail. So I was trying to tell this child, then eventually, with all her, hard stands, she got into the football club. And when she got into the football club, how long will children speak in English? After a few minutes of football running in the field, the children were from Bengal. The ones who were from Bengal. Number 4, she had to pick up Bengali because if she had to correct, she had to pick up Bengali. And she picked it up so beautifully. And with that, after that, joining up with her quality, there was no looking back. There was no going back to jail. So this is the importance of the citizenship language. I, as a person who is not from the teacher education background, I'm sorry, I haven't read the national education policy fully, but it is such a beautiful document of her. It is something that is based on inclusion and not exclusion. So, on students who are, again, I'm saying this is a perspective from a non-teacher's background, I think is going to be extremely popular. It's very, important to understand what it offers and pick and choose intelligently. Thank you so much.
Very beautifully explained the importance of language in our life and how we adapt to language along with eating or food habits. I must say now Member Secretary should stop saying I'm not a person of teacher education. She is Member Secretary of our teacher education regulatory body. So she is one of the top figures for this domain. But the ideas shared by Professor Indu and Mr. Dibyajyoti are complementing to each other and beautifully explain the importance of all domains of art education, physical education, Sanskrit, and she emphasized that each teacher should be prepared with equal interest, equal hands-on experience, equal opportunities for skill enhancement and 5 domains. I cannot recall off the 5. But clearly, our emphasis was each program should be given equal importance and weightage while preparing teachers for the domain. Now, coming to the end of this plenary session 1, I would request Dr. Dibyajyoti Mahanta ji, who is Chairperson, ERC, NCTE, to conduct the open session in invite ideas of the people, and towards the end, he should give his concluding remarks.
And as the leader of NCTE, Pankaj has initially stated already. So now it is your time to take the opportunity to put forward your solutions. So it is good if you can also give it writing to us, so that will help us. So I request one by one if you have any suggestion. And if you have any question also, you can ask the experts. So this session is open for you. But please, I request you, please don't repeat the thing which has been already stated by somebody. You be specific, because we have only 15 minutes time in hand. So I request, be precise, if possible, you give in writing also.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm Day-1 Misra, representing Arunachal Pradesh in this 2020 as well as ITEP. I have one query in my mind, so I just put forward before the panelists. Really nicely, 4 subjects have been incorporated in ITEP, that is yoga, Sanskrit, then physical education and arts. Sanskrit is have been kept aloof from the indigenous knowledge system. However, yoga may serve. But I have one query in my mind, how we can fulfill the regional aspirations if we are not incorporating some other languages under ITEP. And because UGC has also recommended 5% of the credit, 5 to 50% of the related to indigenous knowledge system, number one. Second thing, sir, as you have mentioned, one of the panelists regarding 4-year undergraduate program, and it is well considered by the under national education policy. But Delhi University has started it in 2013 and UGC has stopped in 2014. Again, a panel of UGC has recommended the same 4 years program. So is there any specific changes under the 4-year programs under this NEHU 2020? Thank you.
Meaning remarks, but already Professor UGC has stated that the NCTE is taking up initiative for incorporating other languages as well. So at the first phase, Sanskrit is taken up. So any other? Yeah, please.
Also, my question is regarding our education to the student. We have I'm actually active from Meghalaya University and we have already running ITEP from 2023-24 days. I want to asking one question that general ITEP course also and early education ITEP is similar curricular system. But what will be the benefits for the ITEP students and regarding the जनरल आइडियल स्टूडेंट बिकॉज मैंने ऐसा होता है कि आइटम में भी 4 टाइप का कोर्स है, फाउंडेशन है, डिसिप्लिनरी है, कंप्लीट एनहेंसमेंट प्रोग्राम है, इंटर्नशिप है और आर्ट में भी है. जनरल आर्ट के कोर्स में हम लोग आर्ट एजुकेशन डिसिप्लिनरी में भी ले सकते हैं, नेचुरल में भी ले सकते हैं, पेडागोगी में भी ले सकते हैं, इंटर्नशिप में भी है. तो व्हाट विल बी द मोर बेनिफिट्स फॉर द आइटम इन आवर एजुकेशन? सो काइंडली टेल मी.
Hello, sir. I am Professor Jyotsna from Manipur, sir. I have been this earlier. And I have some few questions regarding the 4 general courses of ITEP, that regarding the qualifications of teachers, sir. And when we talk about the qualifications, whether for the foundation, preparatory, middle and secondary stages, will the qualification of the teacher be the same or there are changes like specialization in secondary education or specialization in preparatory method? This is just my one query, sir, that I would like to know first. Again, as in the general ITEP, it's still preparatory, foundation, preparatory, middle and secondary is there. But for the other 4 newly introduced ITEP like art educations and physical education, Sanskrit and yoga, will there also be a 4 level like a foundational, preparatory, middle or the secondary, or will it be a single course then? That is what we do have to know. So when colleges and the northeast or other parts, they have to try for it, they can know for whether it will be only for the one stream or the many other stream. This is just my query. I don't know if it is appropriate or not, sir. Then what I would like, one last assumption, sir, I find it's about the last year when NCTE have recognized about the 64 college institutions, sir. And they recognize about 109 courses. In 109 courses, what required is in foundational, only 1 institution was selected, and in preparatory only 6, and in middle only 6 courses are selected, and whereas 93 courses are selected for the secondary. So it seems that most of the courses related are for the secondary, but nowadays when we talk about the foundation years and preparatory, it's somewhat legal amount. Is NCTE going to do anything about it in this regard? This is just what I would like to know from all our teachers' side. Thank you, sir.
So most of the answers could be found out in the regulation itself. So if you go through the regulation, then you find the differences. Mr. Sir has told what is the difference between the four-wheeler bus which was introduced in 2014 and what is the new one. So there are certain differences earlier, and that is the reason NCTE has directed, notified for transition of those earlier courses. So for expert comment, I like to give the answers by our expert review panel. One.
Ja. Jo.
So I would like to answer to three specific questions. One is asked about ITEP specializations. ITEP is one program with multiple specializations. ITEP is being offered in three streams: BA, TH, BCom TH and BSc. And all these three specializations, three-based specializations, are again further being offered for all the four stages of new school structure. So if I want to become a foundation stage teacher in languages, I need to do ITEP, DA, BH, foundational stage. If I want to specialize myself into environmental science for preparatory stage, then I need to do BA, BH, ITEP for preparatory stage. This way, ITEP is a holistic program with 12 specializations, 3 stream-based specializations and 4 stage-based specializations. So all 12 are offered. If you go through the blue book of ITEP, which has been shown on the screen some time back, and is very much available on NCTE website, you will be very clear about the specializations being offered in ITEP program. Your concern about the programs being run or being offered primarily for secondary stage. Yes, it is our concern as well, because statistics is saying the large number of institutions are applying for the secondary stage. But then when we try to find out the reasons for this within the NCTE, we found largely those institutions which were running DH have applied for ITEP secondary stage. Yet diets and elementary stage areas need to apply, and the first phase 23-24 and 24-25, these two phases were pilot phases where institutions were restricted to apply because of quality parameters. Now we will be coming to the general expansion of ITEP program from the year 25. So we are very hopeful we will get more applications, and rather we would request all the teacher educators, when they are submitting applications from their institutions, they must study the need of the state. Whether state need these many teachers for secondary stage or preparatory stage or middle stage or foundation stage. So some rational application should be submitted to NCTE because this need to come from the institutions. And third point where our question comes from this side is about the qualifications for teacher educators. Yes, this was an important concern of me as well as a teacher educator, and in the regulations 2021, eligibility was master degree with BA for pedagogy papers, which has now been proposed in a revised format in the new regulation. If you go to the new appendix 1 under regulations 2025, we have revised it to master degree in concerned discipline and embed with net. So that EH thing has already been ratified and been upgraded. Thank you.
So I express my gratitude to the experts and Arora sir, Abhilasha madam. And now we are going to conclude this first plenary session. I know there will be some more questions from your side. Okay. One or two questions can be taken. Yeah, please.
Proposal for running ITEP courses at diet level, at diet. Sir, as a daily course is going to stop this session, is there a proposal for running ITEP courses at diet level?
Session has long question.
I am Dr. Chandrakan from NEHU, Department of Education, NEHU Dua campus. My question is, how do we differentiate between art integrated education and ITEP for arts education? Is that madam?
Dr. Maitras, Program Officer of Teacher Education. Sir, I am very curious by the reading 2 to 3. The number one is the proposed courses that have been now discussed. What are the eligibility criteria for the institutions to apply? Because the current ITEP has an eligibility criteria, most of our northeastern states, apart from Assam, very limited applications we have been receiving, because the eligibility criteria is very high. And we know here the context for having NAC accreditation, having A graded or it's really very tough. So eligibility criteria for ITEP also, my request is, it can be, for Northeast, keeping in mind Northeastern context, we should frame, because it is such a diverse country, same regulations, it's not ideal. Second is, if it is in pilot mode, because new course, we are thinking of, must be in pilot mode. So what kind of support we are extending to the institutions? Because they have been facing many problems, there are many doubts. If ITEP is also introduced in pilot mode, then why are we in such a haste to scale it up? Because now also there are many questions, and also because many institutions like IIT, NITs, they are introducing it without having any idea of teacher education. And teacher education institutes are asked to make them multidisciplinary. Now it is very difficult, the kind of time frame you have been setting, and teacher education institutions are deprived of introducing this kind of courses. So I think city must consider all these things, and we are really, we welcome these changes. But I think ground reality also we should look at it, and TIs must give an opportunity to participate in this kind of, conversations, and we thank you very much.
Madam, your question answers question. Art integrated approach is for every teacher to integrate art, whether it's sciences, whether it's mathematics, and in all the stages, in languages, there is an integration of art, which is a pedagogy. So that is the difference. And the other thing is that art education has so many art forms which have to be taught in the schools, which has been marginalized for so many years, pushed aside. Why children at the school stage should not have an exposure to different art forms, rather than waiting for them to pass 12th standard, and they will decide that they want to be artist or they want to go. So one is a specialization of any art form which is there. So for that we need professional art teachers. And the other is for every teacher, whichever subject, whichever stage, they need to integrate art which includes the local art forms, the local culture, traditions, all these aspects, the art and architecture of that place, as well as so there are two different things which the policy also suggests. That is, I think it's the yellow.
Remaining questions, please.
Thank you. The remaining two questions. One is about diet level institutions. As I mentioned in the morning, we'll be soon coming with revised version of remaining programs of teaching education. At the moment, we have revised 4 appendix, 4 regulations, appendix 3, appendix 4, appendix 5 and appendix 15, and got 4 new norms and standards for 4 specialized ITEP along with 1 on MAT partner. So these 9 have been got in first phase, and in second phase we do diet level programs revision, which will be taken care, as I mentioned in the morning. By December 2025, we'll be able to give you concrete answer on this, because this is a larger policy level issue which needs large consultation, not only within NCTE but with stakeholders, ministry level officials as well as academicians and administrators from different organizations, allied organizations. I'm not talking about teacher education institutions, allied organizations like NCERT, DICE, SCRA, etc. So for diet level programs, we have to wait a little more. Now, coming to the last question, which was very, very interesting, very, very meaningful. When we invite applications from teacher education institutions, we say we got out some eligibility criteria. In this house, most of us are teacher educators, or the people working for teacher education in direct or indirect way. And we all are concerned about deteriorating quality of teacher education in the country. In 2009-10, Justice Verma Commission gave very strong recommendations about state of teacher education in the country. And if we go through 5th chapter of National Education Policy 2020, or even in the policy document, quality concern has been expressed by the policy drafters, policy makers. They very categorically mentioned about the regulatory mechanism and deteriorating quality of teacher education in the country. We must be knowing, we must be aware that in our country we have 15,864 institutions recognized by NCTE at the moment. And these 15,864 institutions are preparing approximately 17 lakh teachers for different stages of school education. Whereas statistics proposes that we need around 6 lakh teachers every year for the country. So we are already preparing multiple extra teachers. That is not big concern, because people do not always get qualifications just for the sake of job. For multiple reasons they get qualifications. But the concern is multiple teacher education institutions which are running MCTE. We all know, me as a teacher educator know this. We are concerned about dummy institutions, fake institutions. We all are using these terms to criticize the deteriorating quality of teacher education in the country. So, since 2023, NCTE has taken initiative to put an extra runner to enhance the quality of teacher education institutions. And for that, we got 2 different parameters in 2023 and then in 2024. As I mentioned earlier, this time it is not under pilot mode. We are going to do for expansion of ITEP program. As National Education Policy has proposed that ITEP will be period program of teacher education by the year 2030. And if you have gone through norms and standards for B.Ed and M.Ed, you might have read that B.Ed and M.Ed will be allowed to continue in the institutions which will be running ITEP. So ITEP expansion is a priority at the moment for NCTE. But very responsibly, we do not want to compromise with the quality. We want qualitative expansion of ITEP program in the country. And for that, we may come out with some relaxed quality concerns, not at par with the concerns from 23 and 24, but some quality concerns will always be there. Otherwise, NCTE will again be blamed for not paying attention to the quality of teacher education and just believing in expansion of teacher education. So that radar will be there, but in some relaxed form, in some ground level reality will take into consideration. And if you have some specific suggestion, you're most welcome to write to us. Wherever we start ITEP, in the 23, we recognized 42 institutions. And in 24, we recognized 22 institutions. And it is on record that we conducted hand-holding sessions with all the institutions, 42 in the first phase and 42 in the second phase. We went to all the regions and conducted sessions with those institutions. We met students there, understand their challenges. NCTE constituted a committee in July 2024 to look into the initial peering levels of high-def institutions. And that committee had representation from all 4 regions, from North region, South, East, West, and one core committee, one chairperson was there, Professor Vandana Saxena from University of Delhi. From your region, Brinda is representing for that committee, and from Southern region, Professor Amrut is representing that region to the committee. From Northern region, Professor Seema Dhawan is representing that zone. So it is not that we are just giving approval to the program and not going along with the first phase of launching this program. We are very much there, and if any institution feel like having any specific support from NCTE, we will be more happy to come to you and help you. You may approach us through your region's chairperson, region's committee member, or ITEP committee, which is there in place now for 2 years. We have constituted that committee in the first place. You can approach us through Brinda also. You can directly write us. We will be very happy to hold a hand-holding session with your institution, all the naming institution that's so. Your last point was about haste. We are not in haste. If we have been in haste, we could have given expansion to ITEP in 23 itself. In 23, we gave recognition only to 42 institutions. In second phase, we gave recognition only to 22 institutions. The data is suggesting we are not in haste. And we do not want to compromise, we do not want to dilute academic standards of teacher education programs as well as teacher education institutions. Now last point, why we are pushing all the teacher education institutions to transform into multidisciplinary institutions. That is a mandate given by National Education Policy 2020. And policy has proposed that all standalone institutions need to transform into multidisciplinary institutions by the year 2030. And NCTE has set that deadline as 2028 in the new regulations if you have gone through. And by 2030, we want all institutions to apply and start ITEP program in their institutions, so that by 2030, the mission ITEP should be established and promoting teacher ITEP as premium program of teacher education, besides B.Ed, M.Ed and other programs of teacher education. I hope I have answered your questions. Thank you.
Answers to the very important queries of the audience, and I hope you all are satisfied with the answer. And we know that ITEP is a very important program, as I said, and by 2030 all standalone institutions of teacher education has to have ITEP. And of course there's another one query which you had answered that to one teacher asking that the B.Ed is necessary for disciplinary courses to teach. I think that is very important, B.Ed, because you know, if a teacher himself does not have B.Ed, then how will he teach in a teacher education course? So whether you're teaching economics, specialization in economics, whether you could be a PhD in economics, yes. So B.Ed or M.Ed is very, very important, because no teacher can teach in a teacher education institution without having the, BA and all the MBA. So I think this is very, very important, and everyone should take note of this. No institute should be having their teachers teach without this degree to the students who are asking for the degree. I think this is very important. So, sir, we would like to conclude now.
Can I just ask you one for 2 seconds? With permission, only for 3 seconds. Suppose I take, or I'm taking innovation as major, right, for 3 years degree. I have all the requirements which are taught in the BA college, right? So what is the difference now about the recruitment of teachers, those with education major, and those from don't have education major. Like education major, they don't get a chance. There's even to be a principal, I think it is a requirement. So it's a still a little bit here for me. There's no confusion. BA in education general and BA and also the professional which we learned in education major 5 years. I think you also have PDTA because I have the same thing. Understand?
Ma'am, what I took directions. One is community and education course that they are offering, and one is the major minor. So if a person wants to pursue for education major, he may pursue for education major, and he can take a minor in some other subject. So I goes in finally for the PG program in education.
Because I just referring to one person at the Uttar was a Uttar, you don't post a question, no? Regarding the faculty with me, someone, no, what's somebody assuming. So I just want the answer actually to his question he has put. Only in that person side asking.
So ma'am, what we have clearly answered this question with regards to this disciplinary subject when we have the major minor and one side has a teacher education course. So ITEP is a program which is offering, we are offering 1 degree, but we have the 2 courses going. And yes, dual major. So this is part of the benefit which ITEP is providing, and ST is really done a very good, job in regards to ITEP. And so we can see the number of students which are increasing in the intake of ITEP courses. Specializations are always there. Education is also a subject, so he will also.
ITEP is excellent program. ITEP, there is no doubt about it.
So I think we will conclude the program now.